And we're ready for the kickoff there.
Along with Jamie Bone here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Dave Ridgway with the opening kickoff. And back to receive is Derek Crawford for the Calgary Stampeders. Calgary looking to win this game and assure itself of a no worse than a second-place finish in the Western Division. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders looking to repeat what the Hamilton Tiger Cats did last night, and that's be a spoiler in this great Western race. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day. Back to Winnipeg. All right, thanks very much, John. Stampeders have scored in their first 2 possessions. This is a 40-yard field goal by Mark McLaughlin. Calgary off to a quick start, leads 10-0 with 9 minutes left in the first quarter. All right, John, Gord Miller along with Jamie Bone. The Riders, with their second possession, took the ball down to the Eskimo 22, where Dave Ridgway kicked a 29-yard field goal. The Riders are on the board, trailing 10-3 with under 5 minutes to play now in the first quarter. All right, thanks very much, John. Big return there on a punt by Pee Wee Smith, but it's going to come back. There's a flag on the play. We are midway through the second quarter here in Calgary.
Now, I believe they flagged number 51, Alondra Johnson. See if we can pick him up right here. Block on number 41, James King. Hit him in the back, so it's coming back.
That was a 61-yard punt by Mike Lazecki. The 59-yard return is wiped out. We have just under 12 minutes to go here in the second quarter. The Calgary Stampeders scored in their opening possession. It took them only 2 plays to do it. Since then, they have managed just a field goal. Saskatchewan has a pair of Dave Ridgway field goals and has actually had the edge in play here in the second quarter. Danny Barrett brings them out first and 10 with the ball at their own 34. 6 receivers in the ball game for the Calgary Stampeders. We've seen that a lot so far. Barrett quickly to Alan Pitts. Pitts gets a few yards and fumbles the ball. Recovered by Glenn Suter, and Saskatchewan takes possession on a big Calgary turnover.
And recovered by Glenn Suter.
Alan Pitts couldn't squeeze the ball, and Glenn Suter pounced on it to give Saskatchewan excellent field position.
Wow, 2 big plays that have gone against Calgary. First the punt that comes back, and now the fumble by Alan Pitts.
One player from
It's stripped right there. You see Eddie Lowe in on the play, and then Glenn Suter comes in and recovers the fumble to give Saskatchewan their best field position of the day. Start the drive.
And so Ken Austin brings them out at the 41-yard line. He's got 6 receivers in the ball game. No one in the backfield. We've seen a lot of passing so far. Austin over the middle to Dan Farthing. Farthing cuts back inside, gets away from a couple. And he's brought down by Tim Cofield, a newcomer to the Calgary Stampeders. A gain of 11 gives Saskatchewan a first down.
Pretty good numbers for Ken Austin, 11 of 16, 104 yards. And you notice the kind of passes that Ken Austin is throwing. He's throwing everything underneath. He's just trying to chip away right now in the Calgary Stampeders defense. He's just taking what they give him.
Dan Farthing now with 4 catches in the game for 40 yards. First and 10, Saskatchewan at the Calgary 30. Austin looking inside for Don Narcisse, and the ball is knocked away by Junior Thurman on a nice defensive play.
Wow, is that ever a great defensive play by Junior Thurman? You can't play it any better than that when the man's doing the hook in front of you. They come back and not touch him and put your hand around and knock the ball away. See Ken Austin delivering the football. That's perfect. You have a tendency as a defensive back sometimes to want to put your hand on the receiver when you try to go around him. Junior Thurman played that perfectly.
Second and 10 for Saskatchewan. The Riders have had a couple of good drives, but have yet to score a touchdown. 6 receivers again. Austin over the middle, complete to Don Narcisse. Narcisse takes a wicked shot at the end of the play. But it looks as if he has the first down. A gain of 12, and again the sticks move. So Don Narcisse squeezes and gives Saskatchewan a first down at the Calgary 18.
Well, notice how Ken Austin looked left, and then he comes back right to the quick in, and you can see Mark Singer just misses it. And then the big hit by Alondra Johnson on Donald Narcisse.
Saskatchewan driving with under 10 minutes to go here in the second quarter. The Riders trying to play the role of spoiler. Austin looking to the end zone. He has Dan Farthing open, but the ball is just a bit too far. Farthing got in behind his man, Carl Anthony. In fact, Austin had 2 men open in the end zone because Donald Narcisse had broken inside.
Second down, Saskatchewan.
We're in Calgary, where there are a few Saskatchewan Roughrider fans. The mood here is much more optimistic than it was 24 hours ago. They played a college game here yesterday between the University of Manitoba and the University of Calgary. Temperature at kickoff was -23. It's +3 here now, and the conditions ideal for this time of the year. Second and 10, Saskatchewan. Anderson looking to the middle, and he's got his man, Jeff Fairholm, over the middle. And Fairholm comes up limping.
On the play. Covered by Darryl Hall.
Calgary's just playing zone defense, and Fairholm is cutting inside, and you can see Darryl Hall trying to close. Now, Darcy Kopp is not quite in your picture there. He would have come in just a little bit later. He's kind of shaking his head. Darryl Hall was looking up at him saying, hey, you got to help me out when that receiver comes inside.
Third straight time the Saskatchewan Roughriders have converted on 2nd and 10. That gain was 14 yards and gives the Riders a first down at the 5. Here's the give to Orville Lee, his first carry of the game, and he gets down to about the 2.
Orville Lee, the ball carrier, gain of 3
Brought down by
yards.
Will Johnson, the nominee for the outstanding defensive player in the Western Division. So Saskatchewan has not run the ball much. By and large, Don Matthews and company have gone with 6 receivers. Lucius Floyd had a couple of carries early in the ball game. But now they're inside the Calgary 5-yard line. We may see the ball going inside some more. We should point out Milson Jones, the outstanding fullback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is at home in Regina with 3 broken ribs, and Saskatchewan misses him dearly in a situation like this. The ball is closer to the 3-yard line, and it'll be 2nd and goal from there. Orville Lee again, picks his way in for a touchdown, and Saskatchewan takes the lead. Orville Lee from 3 yards out.
It's a nice job by the offensive line of Saskatchewan. And a nice read by that gentleman right there, Orville Lee. We'll take a look at the left side of the ball. You're going to see number 59, Craig Hendrickson. He kind of pulls around, and also Bob Poley pulls outside. Or inside, and you'll see that Orville Lee just receives the hole and reads it, gets into the end zone. And Saskatchewan take the lead.
And the convert by Dave Ridgway is good, so Saskatchewan leads Calgary 13-10. Is there another surprise brewing? Back with more in Calgary in just a moment.
The Stampeder Football Club would like to thank Mike Tarp, president of
Man Stadium in Calgary. Doubleheader day on TSN. John Wells and Lee Pedersen are in Winnipeg. I'm Gord Miller along with Jamie Bone, keeping you up to date on this great race in the West. Saskatchewan just scored a touchdown to take the lead for the first time. Here's Pee Wee Smith returning the kickoff. Smith is brought down quickly as he gets his way across the 25. Tackled by Dan Rashovitz, and it'll be first down Calgary at the 27. Orville Lee got his first rushing touchdown of the season moments ago to give the Riders the lead.
Now Orville Lee, the former first-round draft choice of the Ottawa Roughriders, now wearing the green of Saskatchewan, makes a nice cut outside and then cuts it back inside when he sees the daylight.
Orville Lee was a guy who was injured in training camp with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a guy they would have loved to have had all season long. Danny Barrett brings the Calgary Stampeders out, 1st and 10. Off their own 27. 6 receivers again. Barrett over the middle for Alan Pitts. Fumbled last time and almost lost the ball this time, but manages to hold on. And no, they're going to call that an incompletion. So Alan Pitts is having trouble squeezing the ball here early on, Jamie.
And the guy who's having actually a pretty good game covering Alan Pitts is number 41, the outside linebacker, James King. Saskatchewan are starting to play a few games up front with the defense. They brought Eddie Lowe that time in a stunt, the linebacker trying to get pressure on Danny Barrett.
Alan Pitts set the Stampeder record for receiving yards in a season just moments ago. Broke the old mark set by Terry Evanson. Barrett on 2nd down. Looking for Pitts again. And they'll call that a reception. Alan Pitts is turning every catch into an adventure, but this time he squeezes it for a 14-yard gain.
Wow, he's turning everything into circus catches right now as he comes across. A nice pass by Danny Barrett. Looks left, semi-roll left, comes back inside, bounces off the pads, but then makes the big stab with 2 hands to pull it in for the reception.
At the end of the year, they don't ask how, they ask how many, and that's 1 for Alan Pitts. 1st and 10 for the Calgary. Ball at the Stampeder 40. Quickly to Carl Bland. Gets away from his man. And is finally brought down by James King. You're watching the CFL on TSN. We'll be back to Calgary in just a moment. CFL regular season comes to a close today. The Saskatchewan Roughriders lead Calgary 13-10 at McMahon Stadium. Let's take you back to Winnipeg and the game between the Bombers and the Eskimos. All right, John, Derek Crawford has given Calgary the lead again as he hauls in the pass from Danny Barrett.
And Danny Barrett, nothing fancy. He's just going to throw the deep fade and allow Crawford to adjust to it. Juggles a little bit there, but manages to have 1 foot in bounds for the TD.
And it's 17-13 here with under 5 minutes to go. All right, thanks, John. Alan Pitts has just set a CFL record, making his 6th catch of the football game. He breaks the old mark of 116 catches in the season, set by bomber James Murphy back in 1986. So with 117 catches, Pitts is the new CFL record holder. And his team is driving, possibly for a touchdown. They're at the 5-yard line. Dave Ridgway has kicked his 3rd field goal of the ball game. This one comes from 16 yards out, brings Saskatchewan within 8. The bad news for the Riders quarterback Kent Austin has been injured. No word on how severe it is. We'll let you know as soon as we find out. Back to Winnipeg. All right, thanks, John. Here with Jamie Bone. We're at halftime here in Calgary where the Stampeders lead the game by 8 points. And Jamie, Calgary really seized control of this game late in the second quarter.
Well, offensively, if you're Danny Barry, you had to be very happy. He's getting all sorts of pass protection. He's spreading it around, throwing it to all of his receivers, and he's in the groove right now.
The season began for the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the first week when Kent Austin got hurt against Edmonton. That is the story here again. Austin was hit late by Kent Warnock, who was called for roughing the passer. Austin has a suspected twisted left knee.
And this is devastating for Saskatchewan. A twisted left knee. He will not be back in today's football game. I'm sure that he's hoping right now that it's not surgical at all, and it's going to be a tough one for Tim Wall in the second half.
And this will play a key role in the second half of the ball game. We'll keep you up to date, but right now let's go back to Winnipeg. Dave Ridgway is again a big part of the story for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This field goal comes from 47 yards out. Saskatchewan trails by 11 now with 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Well, John, we've got activity to report here. Ted Wall, subbing for Kent Austin, makes a big play for Saskatchewan, Jamie.
And it's not actually a quarterback sneak, but almost a quarterback off tackle, as Ted Wall takes it off tackle, surprising the Calgary Stampeders and getting into the end zone.
A 27-yard touchdown by Ted Wall brings Saskatchewan within 4.
Where was Greg Peterson?
I don't know.
All right, thank you, John. As things wind down in Winnipeg, they're just heating up here in Calgary. Pee Wee Smith takes the ball at midfield and makes a big play for Calgary.
Well, Pee Wee Smith was having a little bit of trouble trying to secure the handle a couple of times earlier, but makes a nice return here to put Calgary in excellent field position.
Stampeders are driving deep in Saskatchewan territory midway through the fourth quarter.
30.
All right, John, the Calgary offense stalled deep in Saskatchewan territory, so Mark McLaughlin hit this 18-yard field goal. Calgary back in front by a touchdown, 34-27, under 12 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. All right, thank you very much, John. Here along with Jamie Bone for the final CFL regular season game of 1991, the one that will decide who will finish second and who will travel for the Western Division semifinal next week. Calgary leads 34-27. The Stampeders driving with just over 7 minutes left. Calgary controlling the ball here. And the give is to Keevan Jenkins on second down. He is slowed under quickly by the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
3 yards on the play.
Brought down by Doug Brewster.
On the tackle for Saskatchewan.
That's a huge, excuse me, Gord, that's a huge play for the Saskatchewan defense. They need to get the ball back in Saskatchewan's hands. You can see Jurison in there, Brewster's in there as well. Nice job to take away the sweep by Keevan Jenkins.
So Jerry Corrick is in to punt once again for Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders. Up by 7. If Calgary wins this football game, the Stampeders will finish second in the West and play host to BC next week. Corrick with a high kick. Willis Jaycox at his own goal line, brings it out. Jaycox up across the 10. Ball comes loose. It's picked up there. And Saskatchewan gets a major break as Saskatchewan scoops up the ball after Willis Jaycox had fumbled it. Let's take a look at what's happened so far. Second play of the game, Sean Beals holding the 16-yard touchdown pass to make it 7-0. Mark McLaughlin kicked a 40-yard field goal to give out Calgary a 10-0 lead. Dave Ridgway from 29 yards out cut that lead to 7. On the first play of the second quarter, it was Ridgway from 46 to make it 10-6. Saskatchewan then took its only lead, Orville lead, from 2 yards out, 13-10 in favor of the Riders. Derek Crawford holding the 7-yard pass. That gave Calgary a 17-13 lead. We'll update you on more in just a minute. Here's Rick Warman directing the Saskatchewan attack. He began the fourth quarter for Saskatchewan. Warman's pass intended for Willis Jaycox is high, as Warman has had trouble firing here in the fourth quarter. Warman took over for Ted Wall, who replaced the injured Kent Austin. Let's bring you up to date again on the scoring. Keevan Jenkins, a 5-yard touchdown, 24-13. just before the half. Dave Ridgway from 15 yards out cut the lead to 24-16. Early third quarter, Danny Barrett to Alan Pitts for 20 yards, 31-17 Calgary. Back to the play here at McMahon Stadium, second down. Gorman has 4 receivers to one side of the field. Under pressure and brought down. Gorman is sacked by Will Johnson, the CFL's leading sacker in 1991.
Well, Chris Giaskis on the left side of your screen, he has his hands full with Will Johnson. You can see Johnson gets around him, gets deep, and makes the sack on Rick Warman.
And so thanks to that big defensive play, it'll be a punting situation for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And they are punting into a wind, albeit it's not that strong right now, but it has been a factor.
Under 5.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Calgary with new life, a chance to finish second in the West, and Lazecki is back to punt. And he'll concede the safety. So Don Matthews elects to give up 2 here, and that gives the Calgary Stampeders a 9-point lead. We'll be back with more in Calgary in just a moment on TSN. Back in Calgary, where Don Matthews elected to give up a safety. What do you think, Jamie?
I'm not so sure that's a good choice. I mean, he still has a chance to tie this football game up. Now it forces him to score twice in 5 minutes and 11 seconds. I'm not so sure, but I guess what he's thinking right now is that his season is over. He's not going to the playoffs. He has a lot of new people playing in the game right now. He wants to at least give them some breathing room and allow them to play.
I don't think Bobo Bilovich will like that call much. Might force his team to travel here next week. Dave Ridgway with the free kick. He'll kick it off from the 35-yard line. Ridgway hits a line drive down the middle. Picked up by Pee Wee Smith. He gets outside. He gets out of bounds up around the 42-yard line. Let's finish how the scoring happened. Ted Wall with a 27-yard touchdown. Calgary's lead was cut to 4 at 31-27. Then Mark McLaughlin with an 18-yard field goal brings us to where we were a few minutes ago. Calgary 34-27, and Saskatchewan just surrendered the safety. It's 36-27 with just over 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. The sun is going down here in Calgary, and so is the temperature. It started off as a pretty nice day, about 3 degrees here in Calgary.
And if we can sum up the game, it's that guy right there, Danny Barrett. Outstanding first half. He's really continued it on in the second half as well as numbers.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 42. First down.
Getting back to Danny Barrett, 24 completions, 41 attempts, 346 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's an afternoon.
He has struggled lately, missed 7 straight passes here, and he'd love to get his team going. Big roughness call against Eddie Lowe. The major foul gives Calgary a first down inside Saskatchewan territory. Barrett back to pass. Looking deep for Pee Wee Smith. And finally, Alan Pitts runs into the picture, and Pitts almost made the catch. Pee Wee Smith got tied up with his man. And the pass ended up bouncing over to Alan Pitts.
And Richie Hall, number 7, the defensive back for Saskatchewan, managed to get a hand in there, where that would have been a huge play for Calgary.
First play of the ball game, Barrett hooked up with his man Carl Bland for a 55-yard gain. Got Calgary after the nice start. Alan Pitts earlier in this game set the CFL record for most receptions of the season, breaking the old mark set by James Murphy. Second down, Calgary. Barrett to Keevan Jenkins. And Jenkins is wrapped up quickly by James King and Eddie Lowe.
I'll tell you what, Saskatchewan are bringing everybody. They brought all their linebackers except Eddie Lowe. He was man-to-man on Keevan Jenkins. They brought Glenn Suter up from the safety spot. They had everybody going after Danny Barrett on that last play.
That's Don Matthews style defense, the kind of defense he says he wants to see his team play next year. And it's Jerry Koruk to punt again. Clock down to 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. Koruk with another high kick. Jay Cox at his own 10. Jaycox is wrapped up quickly by Paul Clatney and a host of Calgary Stampeders. A 43-yard punt, a 4-yard return, and once again Saskatchewan will start deep in its own territory,
Saskatchewan football,
trailing
first and
here
10.
by 9.
Now, if you're Wally Buono, that clock cannot tick fast enough for you. 3 minutes and 49 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So we take a look at Rick Worman coming on, replacing Ted Wall.
Rick Worman is one of the men you'd have to say for Saskatchewan who is playing for his job. Worman was criticized heavily earlier in the year for his play when Kent Austin was hurt. Don Matthews has said he'll take a serious look at the number 2 quarterbacking position next year in training camp. First and 10 to the 15. Over the top. Looking for Lucius Floyd, and the pass is just too far. Coverage provided on the play by Dan Wicklow.
Danny Wicklow on the coverage, incomplete.
Well, Calgary are going to make it awful difficult for Rick Worman to complete some passes. They're trying to play a scheme right now where they're playing man underneath, and they're playing zone on top with Greg Peterson and also Kenton Leonard. They're backed off. Very tough because you have to throw the ball over the man defending underneath and in front of the men defending deep.
There's some bad blood between Rick Worman and the Calgary Stampeders. He was openly critical of the way Wally Buono handled him when he played for Calgary a couple of years ago. Now here's Worman lining it up, second down. Worman looking quickly to Orville Lee. He's drilled. The ball came loose, but the play was whistled dead. Lee would not have been near the first down at any rate. So it'll be third down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as the Calgary defense comes up big again. It'll come down to the final 3 minutes here in Calgary where the Stampeders lead. We'll show you the conclusion of the game when we come back. Another great day in what has been an outstanding season for the CFL's #1 receiver, Alan Pitts. As we mentioned, Pitts broke the record earlier today set by James Murphy in '86. He now has 118 receptions, 7 catches today for 104 yards and a touchdown. Well, there's some great names on that list, isn't there?
Sure is. He also broke a club record here, yardage, breaking Terry Evanson's mark. This afternoon, I remember watching Terry Evanson ply his trade with Calgary for so many years and also with the Montreal Alouettes. And then I believe it was Hamilton he finished his career off with.
Boy, Danny Barrett loves to go to him, too. And all year long as Barrett was in the lineup, they had the great communication. And clearly, when Barrett got hurt, it hurt Alan Pitts and it hurt the Calgary Stampeders because the communication just wasn't there like it is between Barrett and Pitts.
Well, Danny Barrett at the start of this game, they would call it playing unconscious because he was unstoppable in the first half. Has to be a real confidence booster for him as well after missing a good part of the season due to that injury, that broken index finger.
Here's Lazecki from his own goal line. Gave up a safety the last time he went back there. This time he'll kick it away. Low tumbling punt. Pee-wee Smith at the 45 and
30-yard punt by
Smith
Michael
brought down quickly.
By Pee-wee Smith, 5 yards in the play.
40-yard kick and a 4-yard return as Calgary gets the ball back with 2:47 left in the fourth quarter. Stampeders can run out the clock.
Stampeder football.
They will play host to the BC Lions in the Western Division semifinal next week here at McMahon Stadium. And the winner will move on to Commonwealth Stadium to meet the Edmonton Eskimos, who earlier today defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 28-18 as Edmonton wraps up first place in the West. Here's Calgary, first and 10 at the Saskatchewan 40. Evan Jenkins doesn't get much as James King stuck the hand out and dragged him down by his sweater.
And this is the kind of situation Calgary does not want to get itself into, second down and long, where they're forced to throw the ball within the last 3 minutes, because if it's incomplete, the clock stops and does not start again until the snap of the football. So they want to try and keep the ball on the ground to try and run as much time off of this clock as they can.
Well, running the ball is not something the Calgary Stampeders do often. They came into this game tied for last in average yards rushing per game, just 94.3. Here they are now on 2nd and 12. Barrett rolling out, got a man open. Heads upfield for Sean Beals. Beals makes the catch, drops the football, but they'll call him down at the 12-yard line. Big catch by Sean Beals.
I'll tell you, that's a tremendous adjustment by Sean Beals. Downfield, the ball a bit underthrown, but turning back to the quarterback and get his hips back to the quarterback. And you can see all sorts of folks up there coming. You can see they've got all the linebackers coming in, so it's man coverage downfield, and Barrett just fires it downfield. And Sean Beals works back. No fumble there, as you can see the official marking the spot.
A 31-yard gain by Sean Beals gives Calgary a first down at the Saskatchewan 11. Jenkins through the middle. Brought down quickly by Gary Lewis. Clock now under 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. It all comes down to the final quarter of the final game of the regular season. And Wally Buono 24 hours ago didn't think he'd be in position to see his team wrap up a home playoff game in 1991. But if the Stampeders win today, they'll do just that. Second and about 8. All at the Saskatchewan 9. Looking to the end zone for Pitts, and just too far. Pitts had a step on his man, Benson Donaldson. Barrett took a shot and got the ball away just a little too high.
Third down.
And Danny Barrett had to throw this one a little bit sooner than he wanted to, and that's because of pressure from Big Bobby Jurison coming in and pressuring him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd ask that you please refrain.
And so it'll be Mark McLaughlin and the field goal unit trying to give the Calgary Stampeders a 12-point lead. Danny Barrett's had a good day, but he's not too happy about that last drive. The attempt by McLaughlin comes from the 21. And McLaughlin makes no mistake to give the Calgary Stampeders a 12-point lead with 1:34 to play here in the fourth quarter. They've announced the score here at McMahon Stadium, so the fans here know that their team will not finish first. The possibility of a second-place finish is certainly one that they'd take, especially after the events of this weekend. What a weekend it's been in the Canadian Football League. The Hamilton Tiger Cats upset BC. We had the situation in Winnipeg where they played on a shortened and narrowed field due to weather conditions. And now this, Rick Warman with the ball in his hands. Saskatchewan needs to score twice to take the game away from Calgary.
Any season ticket unclaimed.
Warman now, his pass for Orvalie is tipped away by Will Johnson, and it'll be second down. Calgary's knocked down 3 passes.
Warman's pass intended for Lee.
In Calgary, in this situation in the football game, they're just going to be happy to rush their standard 4 people, try and work upfield, stay in their lanes, and play zone defense and force Rick Warman to complete some balls. As we take a look at a group of happy Calgary Stampeders. Pee-wee Smith, number 86.
They had looks of absolute disbelief on their faces this morning, talking about that Hamilton win over BC that opened the door for them today. Here's Warman on second down. Under pressure again. Warman gets it away, but incomplete. He was looking for Dan Farthing over the middle.
Now, I want to know how he got that away. I thought he was surrounded and down, and then you just see the pass come out of that pocket. Pretty gutsy play by Rick Warman to stand in there when everything's breaking down all around you. Drop back pass. You see everybody working upfield.
Final again in Winnipeg. Edmonton Eskimos 28.
Wow, he was in the
Winnipeg Blue Bombers 18. The Edmonton Eskimos.
Let's say in the grasp, I guess you'd call it, of a defensive lineman. They don't have that rule in the Canadian Football League, of course.
And so the punting unit is back on the field for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Here is Mike Lezecki. Under a minute and a half to play now in the fourth quarter. Lezecki with a high kick away. Pee-wee Smith lets it bounce. And it is scooped up by David Sapunjas, who is wrapped up immediately by Dan Vashovich. There are flags on the play, a 30-yard punt and a 4-yard return by Sapunjas.
4-yard return. Truckland on the tackle for Saskatchewan. There are flags.
So the Calgary Stampeders will look to run out the clock here on an amazing season and an amazing weekend in the CFL.
No yards. Saskatchewan number 41 on a bounce back. First down.
Calgary Stampeders.
A few more yards for the Calgary Stampeders. They'll take over first and 10 with the ball at their own 51-yard line and a minute 12 on the clock. And Charlie Horse loving what's going on here.
Probably the warmest guy here today.
Could have been worse, though. Here's the handoff to Andy McVeigh. McVeigh takes a big hit from Eddie
McVeigh, the
Lowe.
ball carrier. Tackled by Eddie Lowe.
Well, we saw Rick Warman playing in the fourth quarter. He took over from Ted Wall, who played the third and part of the second, subbing for Kent Austin. Austin was injured in the second quarter on a late hit by Calgary's Kent Warnock. And Austin was hot as he went to the dressing room at halftime, yelling into our camera that he wanted Don Barker to do something about the late hits on quarterbacks. He has not returned to the Saskatchewan bench. So the offseason has begun for Kent Austin. And the offseason will soon begin for all of his Saskatchewan teammates. Barrett on the bootleg. Nowhere to go. And Richie Hall wraps him up.
And a smart play by Danny Barrett just to go down and not try and throw the ball downfield to stop the clock.
Third down, Stampeders.
Kent Warnock's one of the guys who's had a great day today. Wally Buono said to me yesterday that the worse the conditions are, the harsher it is outside, the more Kent Warnock likes it. This graduate of the University of Calgary has played an outstanding football game today, as have many of these Stampeders.
Kent Warnock, the Warrior. I remember when he played at University of Calgary back in the mid-1980s, won a Vanier Cup.
One of those great Calgary dinosaur teams. Here is Jerry Korek back to punt again for Calgary, a man who will try his luck in the World League of American Football this spring and then try to catch on again in the NFL next summer. He kicked for the Cleveland Browns last year in the NFL. His punt is high and taken by Willis J. Cox at the 25. Flag is down almost immediately. Now another. And so Saskatchewan will, as it has for much of the second half, start deep in its own territory.
By Jaycox, no yards on
a 44-yard punt and no return with 15 seconds left to play here in the fourth quarter. Wally Buono's team had won just one of its last 5 coming into this game. He talked about the importance of momentum heading into the playoffs. And does his team have it now? Not only do the Stampeders look as if they'll wrap it up with a win, but they'll finish second in the West and be back here to play next week.
And I think when you take a look at this game from an offensive standpoint, the Calgary Stampeders, not only was Danny Barrett on today, but he spread it around. Garrett Crawford, Sean Beals, Pitts, Bland, all those guys were catching the football today. And he wasn't zeroing in on just one receiver.
No yards is the call against Calgary. Illegal block is the call against Saskatchewan. And the net result is a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the ball at about their own 27-yard line. 15 seconds left on the clock. So the BC Lions, sitting at home in Vancouver right now, will be making travel reservations to come and play outdoors. If BC wants to go to the Grey Cup, it'll have to win 2 outside for the next couple of weeks. Rick Warman with the give to Orville Lee. Finds his way up the middle, close to a first down, gets about 8.
And off the play.
Brought down by linebacker Mark Singer.
Tackled by Mark Singer, gain of 7 yards.
11 seconds now to play in the fourth quarter.
Sunday, November 10th.
They started the season 6-0.
Doug Flutie and the BC Lions.
Then over the next 6, they went 3-3. Calgary will finish the season with its final third 2-4. But hey, they'll take it anytime. Tony Spallettini and Steve Taylor, a couple of former Edmonton Eskimos looking on. Wouldn't they love a date at Commonwealth Stadium for some revenge after what happened last week? Lee is wrapped up quickly again, and the final gun sounds. The Calgary Stampeders win the game 39-27. The Calgary Stampeders finish second in the Western Division and will play host to the BC Lions in the Western semifinal next week, right here at Commonwealth Stadium. We'll be back with more on the CFL on TSN in just a moment. Calgary Stampeders win their final regular season game 39-27 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A happy Danny Barrett and company come off the field with a win in their 18th game of the season. Well, we talked at the start of this game about what a difference 24 hours can make. At this time yesterday, the Calgary Stampeders were as low as they've been all year. They felt they got robbed last week by an official's call in Edmonton. They figured they wouldn't be playing much today. They thought they'd be playing in the cold. They played in nice weather. They beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it meant something. What a day for Calgary.
Well, we said at the beginning of the telecast, they were very optimistic coming in today's game, and Wally Buono said, I got to leave those officials alone. I have to forget about them. I have to forget about the game that's being played in Winnipeg, and we have to take care of things here in McMahon Stadium.
Danny Barrett has an outstanding day for the Calgary Stampeders, and that's the key to them succeeding in the playoffs.
It really will be, because he came into this game wanting to have momentum going into the playoffs. He has a great deal of confidence, spread it around, used a lot of the receivers, so he has to feel very good going into that game next weekend.
So the Calgary Stampeders come up with a big victory at McMahon Stadium over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. For Saskatchewan, the season is over, and it ends as it began with an injury to quarterback Kent Austin. He'll have the entire offseason to have his knee looked at, and Don Matthews will have an offseason to get new personnel and perhaps new systems for 1992 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But right now the focus is on Calgary. The fans go home happy as the Stampeders come up with a victory. Now for more on what's going on today in the CFL, let's go to Winnipeg and John Wells.
And at Winnipeg Stadium, we are the last two people in the ballpark tonight. John Wells with Leif Pedersen sitting by here in a very chilly Winnipeg Stadium. How the West was won, a dramatic conclusion to this CFL 1991 regular season in the Western Division, or how the West was lost for the BC Lions.
Yeah, boy, what an opportunity. They're going to think about that one for a long time, because now they find themselves from first to third and have to go on the road next week. And this is how it all ended. Edmonton, of course, on top 24. The Stampeders and BC Lions tied in points, but Calgary, of course, will be at home next week in the McMahon Stadium. The BC Lions will get on the road and get to Calgary.
And there was much less drama in the Eastern Division on the final day of the season. The Argos had it all wrapped up and 1-1 over the Ottawa Roughriders today to finish with a great record, 13-5 and unbeaten at home.
Yeah, and really all that was at stake for Toronto was would they keep their unbeaten string at home alive. They did by beating the Ottawa Roughriders this afternoon, 34-31. Ottawa, of course, then will come here to Winnipeg next Sunday afternoon, and hopefully the weather be a little bit warmer for the Ottawa Roughriders. But hey, remember, Ottawa has played well against Winnipeg this year. Winnipeg obviously will be favored in that game, but don't count Ottawa out for a single second.
And we really don't know if Robert Mims will be available for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the Ottawa Roughriders in that Eastern semifinal. Mims was taken out of the game in the first quarter here today, and the Bombers eventually lost by 10 points to the Edmonton Eskimos. We'll have a final word and wrap things up from Winnipeg in a moment.